Welcome in, everybody. Jake West, Director, Team FY and Sports, joined by Chris Mathis, Tim Tao, and RJ Casey. Busy week for Tim this week, so I'll be hosting the North Georgia edition of the Friday Night Pressbox presented by Team FY and Sports. Guys, let's jump right into it. Let's start recapping some of these games from Week 5 in Georgia last week. Chris and RJ, if you want to start. Chris, tell us about Union's struggles versus Pickens in their blowout loss last week.
Yeah, 45-7 the final score in that game at Pickens County against the Dragons. And truthfully, it started off pretty quickly with the Dragons onslaught offensively with two Panther blown coverages on back-to-back drives. One went for 61-yard touchdown to a receiver, and then the Panther offense stalled. The next Pickens County drive, they went 60-yard touchdown, the same receiver on the very next drive. So that was tough. It was already 14-0, and then by the end of the first quarter, it's a four-score ball game, 28-0, and Union County unable to really muster anything. I think it was 35-7 at halftime, and then Pickens County able to hang on and ride the wave and finish out that game, scoring 10 more points there in the second half. The Panther defense improved as the game went on. The Panther offense still had struggles up front, and that really limited Logan Helcher, senior quarterback, with his playing style and unable to get off passes. He only had 61 yards passing in that game and just didn't have time to look any way or even make any reads down the field.
Yeah, RJ, what good things did the Dragons do Friday night, and what do you expect them to build off of heading forward deeper into the year?
I think they played their most complete game defensively. You heard Chris say they threw for 61 yards. The Dragons held them to 48 total yards of offense, including negative 13 yards rushing. And I think it was a pretty complete defensive effort for the Dragons. Is something they can build on heading into region play. They got region play starting next week against Cedartown. Cedartown's got a big game against Calhoun this week.
Tonight.
Yeah, tonight. Yeah, it's gonna be a big ball game for there. Certain some Pickens eyes will be on that one, getting ready for next week. But yeah, pretty good defensive effort for the Dragons. It's something they can work on heading into region play. Offensively, it was pretty good. We named Sam Stryker, quarterback, the player of the week this week. Had 4 total touchdowns, three through the air, and 1 on the ground. And those 2 touchdowns that Chris mentioned were to Marcus Pike. His last 2 weeks, he's had 3 touchdowns, his first 3 touchdowns of his varsity career. So he's really stepped up in these last couple of weeks. And these young guys are really stepping up as they get more experience into their varsity careers and looking for a big impact in the region play.
RJ, to feed off of Sam Stryker and what he did on Friday night, very impressive, just a sophomore. I mean, the kid's going to be very good, and I really respect and like what Grant Myers is doing there for Pickens County. But what impressed me the most about Sam is his pre-snap knowledge of the game. I mean, it's pretty much next level. It's like a senior. You know, he's making these calls and feeling confident and making these reads, and I think he does a great job at that. That's what I think separates him from, the average sophomore varsity quarterback across the country. He did very good.
Yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge, and he's got some real help with his older brother CJ, who was very methodical in that way as well, before pre-snaps and knowing what to do, whether to throw or the pass on a play. He did very well, and Sam's following in his footsteps really well, making his own path, and he's going to end up being a really good quarterback by the time he's done.
Chris, I know Union still looking for their first win. Can you tell us anything about the other teams in Union region? I mean, is that region struggling as a whole in their non-conference games, or is there somebody that's head and shoulders above everybody else?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got Raven County. Yeah. You know that. You know they're very good. They're a very good football program, and they scheduled the best teams across the state for their non-region, and they still win half of it. So that's a very good program. Banks County just got beat by Fannin County. Fannin County, obviously a powerhouse, but Banks County is down. Riverside Military Academy, they're down also. And then Elbert County, I'm not too sure what their record is right now, but traditionally they're a good program. They usually finish second or third, depending on how Union does. So if Union's able to muster 2 or 3 region victories, I mean, they may be looking at hosting a state playoff game.
Let's talk about, you mentioned Banks. Let's talk about that Fannin County Banks game. Fannin won 30-13. Tim, obviously you were there for that one. It was a pretty close game after the first quarter, and I think starting quarterback David Mashburn was banged up a little bit, and they ended up bringing in senior Swiss Army knife Seth Reese.
Yeah, literally, that's a great term for Seth Reese, is a Swiss Army knife. I was fortunate to be on the call on Fan Rebel TV with my boss Eddie O'Neill, and we're going to be on the call this week. I believe Eddie won't be able to join us due to his having a grandbaby. His son Noah is having and Alexis, his wife, they're having a baby. So shout out to the O'Neill Collis family. As we may be without Coach O'Neill and Coach Collis this week, but it's a special time for them. So I want to give a shout out first and foremost, and congratulations to the soon baby arrival of Noah and Alexis O'Neill. But anyways, Fannin Banks, it was a good game. It was very physical. I was really impressed with Banks County. Chris said they were down, and I'm going to kind of, I think they're a lot better than they were last year. Much better than they were last year. Very physical. Quarterback's a big kid, can make plays. But Seth Reese comes in the second quarter at quarterback, and it was a change of pace game for the Rebels. And you have to respect Seth because he has a cannon for an arm. We saw that last year in the playoffs against Fitzgerald. We saw it last Friday night against Banks County. He has a cannon. He can also run the football. So, I think Seth back there, presents several options. But as we say this, I don't know who's going to start at quarterback tomorrow night. Mashburn, and Mashburn's done a great job. So you never know who'll start at quarterback for Fannin County. I got to be at practice yesterday. It was very positive to see both those guys, hanging out together, and that shows a lot about the team and both those guys. They just want to win. Whatever's best for the team, they want to win. So, but a very, very impressive win for Fannin County. They played very good in the second, third, and fourth quarter. Somebody that's not getting a lot of attention that I feel like should for Fannin County is Jack Catner. Jack Catner, yes, he's a kicker, but he's probably got about 6 or 7 touchbacks this season. Kicked and recovered an onside kick on Friday night. And guys, in high school football, it's big when you can kick the ball in the end zone and the team starts at the 20-yard line every time. Especially when you have a good defense like Fannin County has the last few years. That's huge. And we've got a great kicker in Jack, and he's doing a great job. So we never talk about kickers on this podcast. I can't think of 3 times we've talked about kickers on this podcast, but I really want to give a shout out to Jack Catner for Fannin County. He has been a huge asset this season for Fannin County. A soccer player who started last year kicking. With all due respect to Jack, he didn't even know when to go in the game last season against Union County. He'd never seen a football game, from what I was told. And now he's kicking the ball through the end zone, kicking onside kicks. So he has been a difference maker for Fannin County this season. I know it's weird to say a kicker's been a difference maker, but he has been a very pleasant surprise for the Rebels.
That's awesome.
Andrew Waldrop, he was a defense player of the game. He had 14 total tackles. Your defense played well. Defensive line played well. The Rebels' defensive line has been a very, very, very surprising this year. I know I'm going to leave some people off, but Jeremy Tamman, Brian Stiles, Nate Maloof, Case Holloway, Bryson Fink. I know I'm leaving somebody out, and I'm sorry. But
Owensby.
Well, Owensby's a linebacker, but
okay.
what I'm getting at is these guys are young. They're sophomores and freshmen and juniors. They're young, and they are providing great dividends for Fannin County this season on the defensive side of the football. And that young defensive line, obviously, getting in the backfield, the linebackers filling their gaps, making plays with Owensby and Sands and Waldrop and Moreland and Reese. The defense for Fannin County is for real, but they're going to, with all due respect to Gordon Central, I don't think that defense is going to be put to the test this week. The real test is going to be next Friday night against Pepperell, and that's going to be a fun game. And but obviously Gordon Central's very big on the offensive side of the football. Their line's big. Gordon Central's just very young right now, and love their coach, TJ Hamilton, great coach. Really, really good young coach, energetic, very knowledgeable about the game. Is running a great program over there. Gordon Central's just a little down this season. So Fannin County, barring any crazy things happening, should have an easy victory this week. But hopefully they're not looking too far ahead the next week, as we will talk about this game next week in length about Fannin Pepperell, as it arguably will be the region championship beside in Blue Ridge.
Yeah, you mentioned Catner, the kicker. Some other guys. If Seth does get the starting nod Friday night, and I'm not saying that he will, but if he does, there's going to be some other guys that are going to have to step up and fill a bigger role, such as Corbin Davenport and Carter Mann probably get a bigger role in that offense. And also, obviously, Austin Garland's carries are going to uptick with Seth being under center. So it'll be a different kind of offense for Fannin County. But I looked at their stat sheet, and everybody that puts on a Rebel jersey, it looks like, gets a chance. It just depends on what you do with that chance when Thigpen and Cheatham give it to you on offense.
Yeah, Jake, I did want to say something else. I don't think I mentioned Cade Sands' name on defense. If I did, I apologize. But he's another guy that's played well. Logan Long, that's the main guy on the defensive line. How did I forget Logan Long? Like I said, I knew I would forget somebody. Big Logan Long playing both ways on the offense and defensive side of the football. So sorry, Logan. I love you, man. But they're fun to watch. Corbin Davenport, you mentioned Carson Collis also. I want to tell you about Carson Collis. A play he made last Friday. Reese threw it out to him, and on a wide receiver screen, Carson Collis fumbled the football. Banks County recovered. The very next play, the Banks County defender, what he did is he put the helmet on the football. It was a great play by the Banks County defender. Very next play on offense, Banks County throws the ball on our sideline. Carson Collis does the same exact thing. Puts the helmet on the football, ball pops loose. Carson Collis forces the fumble. He made up for his mistake. He's a guy that's really you're gonna see step up. Also, just a lot of young guys for Fannin County stepping up. It's not just Seth Reese; it's a lot of other guys too. Austin Garland had 84 total yards Friday. He's gonna have a big night this Friday. So it's not just Seth Reese. The Swiss Army knife is the Swiss Army knife, but there are other options.
Yeah, let's move on to another Seth in our area, Seth Griffin and his North Murray team. Big 52-30 win over Cola Creek in a game which Griffin absolutely filled up the stat sheet. 22 for 31 through the air, nearly 400 yards. I think he legitimately had 399 yards or something like that passing, and 5 touchdowns. Incredible night for the junior quarterback. I would say that he's going to be a 3 or 4 star recruit before he's done playing high school football. He's got all the measurables. He's quick, and he throws a really good ball. Chris Napier, our Team FYN sports reporter for North Murray, he'll be all over their game this week, and he's all over all North Murray football. So follow him at Chris FYN on Twitter, and keep up with us at Team FYN Sports on Twitter for all of his updates. Moving on,
Yeah.
Chattooga.
I want to say something about Seth right quick. Seth Griffin, the other Seth. He had some big shoes to fill. Lad McConkey was the quarterback there at North Murray. And if you know anything about Georgia football right now, Lad McConkey was a preferred walk-on at Georgia, okay? And is now seeing a lot of playing time on special teams at wide receiver for the University of Georgia. Was a great football player for North Murray, led them to a playoff victory. So what Seth Griffin is doing right now at North Murray is very impressive. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's kind of the same shoes. It's kind of like Sam Stryker at Pickens stepping in for his older brother CJ. I mean, it's just big shoes to fill, and both those guys have done it very well. Moving on, Chattooga picked up their first win of the season, 49-38 dub over Heritage. Chattooga, a team that people were very high on coming into this year. I know they've just got their first win, but I think they could make some noise later on when they get into region play.
Yeah, Chattooga, a lot of speed. Lester at tail and Hester at quarterback, a lot of speed. Rowan Burdick at safety. Uh, you know, they're allowing a lot of points. That is kind of alarming, Chattooga. But it was good to see them get their first win. They play Model this week. That's a huge region game, and the winner of that could be in position to be the 3 seed. The loser could possibly be out with the emergence of Dade County in Region 7 AA. So that game's really interesting to see. In Region 7 AA this week, you've got Pepperell and Dade, Chattooga, and Model. Those are the 2 games that everybody's keeping an eye on. Coosa's playing some team in Alabama this week, I think. But those 2 games will really tell how this playoff race is going to go on Friday night once those games go final.
Yeah, let's stick with Pepperell, another team that just got their first win of the season last week, 24-20 over Temple. Another team, obviously the favorite to win the region. A lot of people were high on them, and you can't say enough about the hard schedule they've played thus far. But they've struggled out of the gates, and when they came into this game last week against an inferior opponent in Temple, I really expected them to pour it on, but they didn't. 24-20 win, not what I expected to see out of Pepperell at all. Obviously, DJ Rogers is a problem and can score anytime he wants, anytime he has the football, with 115 rush yards, 2 touchdowns on 22 carries last week. He's definitely the focal point of the Dragons offense. But, Tim, I know you have to respect Pepperell as a Fanning guy, but I don't. I don't think they are as advertised at all. I think DJ Rogers is the man, but I just don't think as a whole they're as feared as everybody thinks they should be.
I'm gonna be honest with you. They scare me to death. they absolutely scare me to death. I just seeing DJ Rogers in person, seeing him last year. He's a game changer, and if he's healthy and he's in space, you're not going to catch him. I think he leads AA in rushing yards right now. I don't think Pepperell still don't put their stats up on Max Prep, so some of that information may be inaccurate, but I believe it. I heard this week that he's the leader in AA in rushing yards. So, they're 1-3 right now, but they played a really tough schedule. Waddell, the quarterback's also a state champion wrestler. I'm not sure if he's a state champion, but I know he's in the conversation. They're a tough team. They are a little undersized on defense, and that kind of next week will play into an advantage for Fannin possibly. But Rick Hurst is a good football coach. He'll have them coached up. I think Pepperell is a little down from last season. But they're still a good football team, and I'm not gonna lie, they scare me. They really do. But it will be a great game next week.
Moving right along, Chris. I know you gotta leave. You got other obligations. Before you do leave, tell us about the Towns County Indians and their hot 3-1 start, and just big win over Lakeview Academy last week. Tell us what Coach Rockmore has done for that program and the kind of impact that he's made, and just tell us about Colin Crowder and all those kids over there. Let's give them some love. 3-1's nothing Towns County's seen for a football team in a while.
Yeah, they are definitely building a program for not only the now but the future too. This is Jason Rockmore's 3rd year as head coach of the Towns County Indians. And each and every year there's been progression. Some might say it was slow from year 1 to year 2. But it was progression, and that's all you can ask for. And a lot of coaches will tell you themselves, hey, year 3, I'm going to have this program right where I want it to be. The guys buy into what I want, to see from them on offensive scheme, defensive scheme. Players are looking forward to joining the varsity football team now at Towns County High School, and that is the case as they won big time at home against Lakeview Academy against Coach Shaw. That was a huge win for Jason Rockmore. But they had a dominant game offensively. I've got stats here. 420 total yards, and their defense held Lakeview to 186 yards in that game. And one guy, I'm not sure if you mentioned him. I know you know the guy, Jake. Kyle Oakes. He is a phenom. He is a phenomenal running back. As of Monday, I believe, of this week, he led 1A in the state of Georgia in rushing yards. Number 1 guy. back-to-back weeks with over 250 yards on the ground. He had 3 rush touchdowns in that game on 28 carries. 2 weeks ago, the guy had, I want to say it was 14 carries, 288 yards. In the first half, 5 rushing touchdowns. He's got 8 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Colin Crowder, he's a 2-tutty guy. Tom Brady reference right there. He gets 2 tutties a game. And in that game against Lakeview, Jake, he had 13 catches, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. And they're really improving each and every week. And it's showing his number one statement from day one. Coach Rockmore's number one buy-in was, let's be contagious. Let's build the same energy each and every day. And last week I went to practice as they were prepping for Lakeview, and the energy was different. I spoke with Coach after practice. I said, what's the deal? And he said, we've got a huge game this Friday night. It's going to be big for our culture. It's going to be big for our community. And that mindset obviously paid dividends on Friday night as they smoked Lakeview Academy at home. Just a lot of fun there in Hiawassee, and really cool to see their sports programs as a whole, starting with basketball last year. I think that really sparked it all. Now, I mean, programs are just building up. Both the soccer teams are good. Obviously, cross country, the whole 9 yards, they're all doing really good right now. Basketball teams are going to have much of a drop-off this season. And again, the Towns County Indian football program is on the rise. They look legit. And will they make the playoffs for the first time since 2016, 2017? I think they will. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, even playing one of the top teams in 1A this year, Armucci, they hung tough in that game. I think Armucci won 31-14, but playing against a team that's historically a much better program, Towns County hung tough in that one, and I expect to see. I mean, let's go ahead and just touch on it real briefly, Chris. Tell us about the biggest test of the year thus far for Towns County, Bethlehem Christian 5-0 this Friday night.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. On the road, obviously, Bethlehem Christian, very good football program. I think this is one of those games where you just want to go out and see that your team is building. As the quarter goes on, your team gets better. I think that if Kyle Oakes can establish that rushing attack and the Indians are able to do their thing defensively, which they do have to rely on a lot of guys playing both sides of the ball, and they're able to hold up okay and come out of that first quarter within 7 points, I think it's going to be a very good ball game. If you're within 14, Towns County has a shot. If you're within 14 at halftime, Towns County has a shot to win this game. And I do know that a couple of weeks ago, Towns County, they were down at halftime, and they were able to come back and just put pedal to the metal and dominate. So this team does have that mentality, that dog mentality. Let's come back. This game's not over. 2 more quarters left. That's what we have to see on the road against Bethlehem Christian this Friday night. Again, Jake, as you mentioned, 5-0. I don't care who you play. I'm sure they played some good programs. I don't care who you play. If you're 5-0, 5 games into a season in which COVID's playing an issue, in which injuries are playing an issue, you are a good football team. And Towns County just needs to compete in this one.
Yeah, Chris, I appreciate you coming on. Let's take a quick commercial break. Chris Mathis, RJ Casey, Tim Towle, this is Jake West, Director of Team FYN Sports. This is the North Georgia edition of the Friday Night Press Box. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back. Thanks, Chris.
Yes, sir.
At Circuit World, we offer a wide selection of major appliances, name brands like Whirlpool, LG, Frigidaire, and more. Looking for furniture? Come by and browse our showroom or check out the Endless Aisle, a touchscreen kiosk with thousands of options. Need electronics, gaming computers, laptops, desktops, tablets? We have it all. OLED or QLED, 4K or high def. We have the selection to get you the TV of your dreams. And don't forget, at Circuit World, your credit is always good. So ask about our convenient payment options and 120 days, same as cash. Come see us today at one of our 5 area locations.
It's an opportunity you can't miss. Days Chevrolet in Jasper is stepping up and paying top dollar for your trade-in. Any make, any model. Days wants it, and we're paying top dollar to get it. So, what'll you do with all that cash? Shop for your new Chevy at DaysChevroletJasper.com. New vehicles are arriving weekly, or shop from our great selection of pre-owned inventory. Don't delay. Come get cash for your vehicle today at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
Hey girl, back so soon?
Yeah.
Third time this morning.
Feeling too familiar with the bathroom these days? It's not just you.
Hey girl, look who made it 15 minutes.
At Erlanger Urology, we make it easy to talk about overactive bladder and treatments that work.
Hey girl, you not coming in?
No, I'm good.
Well, okay. I'll be here, because I'm stuck.
Learn more at itsnotjustyou.com. Erlanger Urology.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Welcome back, Jake West, Director of Team F1 Sports, joined by RJ Casey and Tim Towle, North Georgia edition of the Friday Night Press Box. Quickly, RJ, I know Pickens is off this week. Can you tell us just a little bit about the other games in that 7-4A region that are happening this week?
Yeah, well, obviously the big one is Cedartown and Calhoun taking place tonight. That was originally scheduled for earlier in the season.
One of the biggest games in the state, not just in this area, the biggest game in the state.
Yeah. That game was originally scheduled for earlier in the season, but due to COVID issues over at Cedartown, that game had to be postponed. Unfortunately, it got rescheduled, and it will be at Calhoun tonight. Got a lot of eyes on that one, obviously statewide, area-wide, and region-wide, because Cedartown is, I guess, the consensus number 1 pick to win the region this year in 7-4A. And then you got on Friday, Central Carroll is taking on Heard County, so that'll be an interesting ball game. Central's on a little bit of a downswing after a hot start to the season, so they'll be looking to get rolling as well before region play starts, and that's pretty much it. I believe Southeast has got a game as well, but Southeast playing a non-region schedule for the second year in a row. I believe they will be back to region play next year, so that'll give 7-4A 7 teams in the region. Yeah, those two games that I mentioned, Central Carroll and Heard, and then Cedartown and Calhoun, those will be the 2 big ones to look out for.
Moving on, let's talk about Region 7, AAA, North Hall and West Hall, Cherokee Bluff and Gilmer. Gilmer back after their bye week last week. Unfortunately, they do play Cherokee Bluff, but they have had 2 weeks to prepare, so maybe Gilmer – I think if you're Gilmer, you want to stay within 2 scores. That's a win. If you stay within 2 scores of Cherokee Bluff. And then the last game in that region, Dawson County and White County, both those teams at 1 and 3. I don't know who's going to come out on top of that one, Tim.
Man, I think both teams are down. It's so hard to say. I think White County has a chance to win this football game. Coach Maxwell and Dawson are this is probably the most down Dawson County's been. And RJ, you've covered Dawson too. What, the last 5-6 years? You say maybe more than that.
Yeah, it's probably their most down team in a while. But having seen White County earlier in the year, they beat Pickens at Pickens 20-7. White's got an all right offense, obviously the centering around the running back. And if you got a kid like that, why not centering around him? But defensively, they made enough plays to beat Pickens. Pickens was off offensively that night, so it's going to be up to Dawson to have some consistency on offense to get the win.
RJ, you saw Dawson in the spring too, so
yeah,
you know more about this than I do. Who wins, White or Dawson?
Is the game at Dawson?
Yeah.
If the game's at Dawson, I'll go Dawson, but I'll go Dawson probably by 7.
I'm gonna go White. Give me White County.
Actually, the game is at White County.
Give me White County.
I'll still go Dawson.
Moving on, 6 AAA, LFO and Cola Creek, Lafayette, Adairsville, really good team, 3-0 start. Sonoraville and North Murray, probably the best game of the week in that region. I'm not sure. I mean, you saw Sonoraville, Tim, when Fannin played them, but North Murray also a very good team.
Yeah, I hate to talk about injuries. I did hear the Lyles running back got hurt last week against Rockmart, and Sonoraville was up at the time he got hurt. So I don't know his status. I hope he's okay. If Lyles is healthy, I think Sonoraville could take North Murray. If Lyles is not healthy, North Murray may win this one comfortable, kind of like Rockmart pulled away late. But I do apologize for not having information like that. But I did hear the Lyles kid did get hurt. I hope he's okay. But that game's hard to pick because you don't know who's playing, who's not.
Murray County and Ringgold. That's the last game in that region.
Yeah. It'll be whatever Ringgold wants it to be.
Yeah, shouldn't be much of a game there. 7 AA, Fannin County, Gordon Central. Gordon Central 0-4. Fannin 3-1. Fannin should take that one pretty easily. Model and Chattooga going to be a good game. What would you say the game of the week is in 7 AA? Model and Chattooga or Pepperell and Dade?
Both those games right there, I think will be co-games of the week in that region. Those two games, like we said earlier, I think are going to tell so much about where this region is going to go. Is Dade County for real? If Dade County keeps this close or pulls the upset against Pepperell, I think you really got to consider Dade County for making a run at even the region championship if they beat Pepperell Friday night. Model Chattooga, man, I don't know what to think about Chattooga. They look good on offense. They look bad on defense. I don't know. And then Model, they look great on defense and they look bad on offense. I don't know what to think about that game. That game to me is a toss-up. But a lot of questions will be answered after Friday night about all 4 of those teams for sure.
Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, Coosa does have Cherokee County, Alabama, I think, to wrap up that region. So let's go to Region 8 AA, Banks County at Harrelson County. You saw Banks last week. Is that a pretty smooth ride for Harrelson County?
Yeah, and it will be. Clay Hyde will have a big game for Harrelson. I know Banks County was very banged up after the Fannin County game. I know they lost a few starters. They got hurt in the game. So I think Banks County is probably going to this game banged up. I think Harrelson will win that one pretty comfortably.
And we've got Elbert, Lincoln, Toombs County, Riverside Military, Pickens County, South Carolina at Raven County this week. And then obviously our game of the week, Team FY Sports Friday Night Pressbox game of the week, Murphy at Union County to wrap up that region. We'll talk about that in our next segment, the Murphy at Union County game. But before we do, Tim, we've added kind of some coverage over in the Floyd County area, and Lawrence Morgan with Northwest Georgia Football is going to cover Armucci for us going forward. What can you tell me about Armucci, and why should we be excited that they're getting added to our coverage area?
Well, I can't tell you too much, but I will tell you this: Jeremy Green cares about Armucci. He's the head coach there. He really cares about Armucci. Lawrence, obviously, who runs Northwest Georgia football, he does a great job covering that area. That's his home team. Armucci, I think, is 4-0 for the first time since 2000. I saw it on Twitter the other day.
2009. If they win this week, they'll be 4-0 for the first time since 2009.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago. So, obviously, don't have a lot of information about Armucci, but I do know I see Jeremy Green active on Twitter, and you can tell he really cares about his players. They're going to be ready to go, and good for the Armucci Indians.
Yeah, Armucci has Weaver this week. That should be a game that they are capable of winning. They should be 4-0 for the first time since 2009. Be interesting to keep up with them when they get into region play against Mount Zion and Tryon and Gordon Lee and Bowden. But Tim, RJ, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, Tim. Thanks for letting me host this week.
No, thank you, Jake. Been a busy week. I owe you one.
Yeah, gonna be a good week of football Friday night. Thank you guys again. For Tim Town and RJ Casey, this is Jake West. This is the North Georgia edition of the Friday Night Press Box presented by Team FYN Sports.
At Circuit World, we offer a wide selection of major appliances, name brands like Whirlpool, LG, Frigidaire, and more. Looking for furniture? Come by and browse our showroom or check out the endless aisle, a touchscreen kiosk with thousands of options. Need electronics, gaming computers, laptops, desktops, tablets? We have it all. OLED or QLED, 4K or high def. We have the selection to get you the TV of your dreams. And don't forget, at Circuit World, your credit is always good. So ask about our convenient payment options and 120 days, same as cash. Come see us today at one of our 5 area locations.
It's an opportunity you can't miss. Days Chevrolet in Jasper is stepping up and paying top dollar for your trade-in. Any make, any model. Days wants it, and we're paying top dollar to get it. So, what'll you do with all that cash? Shop for your new Chevy at DaysChevroletJasper.com. New vehicles are arriving weekly, or shop from our great selection of pre-owned inventory. Don't delay. Come get cash for your vehicle today at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
Hey, girl. Back so soon?
Yeah.
Third time this morning.
Feeling too familiar with the bathroom these days? It's not just you.
Hey, girl. Look who made it 15 minutes.
At Erlanger Urology, we make it easy to talk about overactive bladder and treatments that work.
Hey, girl. You not coming in?
No, I'm good.
Well, okay. I'll be here because I'm stuck.
Learn more at itsnotjustyou.com. Erlanger Urology.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got another ugly mug on the screen. It's Chris Mathis, WJRB, WJUL is joining us. We're going to highlight our Team FYN Sports Game of the Week between Murphy and Union County. Tell us about Union County's game last week against Pickens. I'm sure you don't want to tell us much about that game, but tell us about Union County and their season, how it's unfolded thus far up to this point.
Yeah, Jake, obviously Union County is still in search of their first victory in the Michael Perry era. They fell short last week on the road against Pickens County, and heading into that game, I thought it was going to be a winnable ball game. I'll just be honest with you guys. Unfortunately, the final score 45-7, Pickens County prevailed over Union County. And it was a tough loss, obviously. I think a couple of blown coverages early on, the first 2 drives. In fact, Pickens County had one receiver make 2 big catches on back-to-back drives. Both went 60 or 61 yards. It was tough to see. I think some blown coverages there. Obviously, he was a speedster. He was able to get past Union County safety as well. But when you're down 14-0 and your offense wasn't able to muster up a first down until all the way through the entire first quarter, it's tough for you guys to bounce back and come back from. I know 2 weeks ago, Jake, they played at Chestatee High School in Gainesville, and it was 20-0 at the end of the first quarter. And so in this game against Pickens County, I thought, okay, maybe we could see that same rejuvenation there to start off the second quarter that Union showed against Chestatee 2 weeks prior. And it just wasn't there. Union County unable to give Logan Helcher some time in the pocket. There were plays where he had less than a second to get rid of the ball. And anytime that you have a high school quarterback not have time behind the pocket and a guy that likes to run the football, he didn't even have time to take off with the ball. He had to just get rid of the ball multiple times. He ended up finishing 11 of 22 with 66 pass yards or 61 pass yards and a passing touchdown. So it was just a tough night all the way around. And I know everybody says that anybody that knows football knows that it all starts up front with that offensive line and defensive line too. And you can have all the sidecars, all the bells and whistles that you want with receivers, tailbacks, but if you're unable to block, if you're unable to add pressure on the defensive line, it's going to be a long night. And that's what I saw Friday night for Union County. I will say this, after the first half, I think that Union made some key adjustments, especially defensively. The first half, Pickens County was running all over the place, whether it was the quarterback draw or a handoff or even an end-around handoff to the wide receiver, which I think Murphy's going to do some of that, obviously with Peyton McCracken, a speedster, and then the 3 or 4 running backs that Murphy has that are all very productive and very good athletes too. I think Murphy could do that too against Union this week. But again, talking about that game against Pickens County last week for Union County, they made some adjustments and they stopped that rushing attack there at the start of the third quarter. And it was really just all about limiting the Pickens County Dragon offense. And they did that the entire second half, but it was too big of a deficit. At the end of quarter number 1, Pickens County led 28-0. At halftime, it was 35-0. And again, you guys know the final score being 45-7. And I'll be honest with you, that one touchdown, kind of a gift from Pickens County. Right before the half, they had a little over a minute and a half remaining, and they were at their own 20-yard line. They were trying to tack on another score instead of just kneeling the ball out and going into halftime up 35-0. They tried to take a shot across the middle, and Sam Page, Panther defensive back, picked off the pass, set up the Panthers in the best field position of the day inside the Dragons' 25-yard line. Panthers able to muster a couple of 7-8-yard plays and then eventually find Keaton Chitwood wide open in the end zone on a fade route. 6'4" wide receiver, give or take an inch or two, wide open, able to burn past his guy and make the touchdown. And other than that, very slow offensive production for Union County. And then defensively, again, just a couple of blown coverages, a thing that I've witnessed from day one this year. So many arm tackles, almost just too many to count. These guys trying to go in too high on even a wide receiver. They're trying to hit way too high, especially tailbacks. The tailbacks that Union County has faced have been pretty legit. Starting week 1 against Fannin County, Seth Reese, just a man amongst boys, 6'4", 210 pounds. You can't tackle him high. That's what they did week 1. Week 2 against Chestatee, another big bowling ball in the backfield. He was trying to get 4 or 5 yards. That's what he was good for, but consistently. And he was able to do so against Union County. I believe his last name was Lopez. They tackled too high the entire game. And then last week, Pickens County really relied heavily on that rushing attack, end around, like I said, to the wide receiver wearing number 4, really good wide receiver. And then quarterback draws really got the Panthers. So late in that third quarter and throughout the entire fourth quarter, the Panthers made adjustments. And again, the whole entire situation in which they're trying to make arm tackles, that's not necessarily coaching. That's just instinct. And Panthers made those adjustments. It's just a matter of, can they be ready from the get-go for this Murphy Bulldog offensive attack? And obviously at WJRB, WJUL, I cover both programs. I work with both programs equally, so I'm able to know a little bit about both. and I'll be able to call this game on Friday night on 95.1 FM. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think as long as it's competitive, that's all that I ask for from a broadcaster standpoint. But this is one of those games where you would like to think Union County has the advantage with Thomas Nelson knowing this Bulldog offense, the ins and outs. But at the same time, Joseph Watson knows just as much about what Thomas Nelson likes to do defensively. So it is truly going to be a great game. We'll see if the score reflects that. But I think early on it's going to be a good game, and I'm just excited for this matchup, and I know that you guys are too. And if you guys want to catch this game live play-by-play, tune in 95.1 FM on your radio dial if you're in the 5-county area. Clay, Fannin, Towns counties, Union counties, Cherokee County, the whole 9 yards. Or you can live stream at WJRBradio.com. We go live with a pregame show at 7:06. I'll be on the call, excited for it. Win, lose, or draw, I'm just excited for a matchup and to be able to play football here. And more importantly, have football during a very unusual time with COVID and obviously North Carolina schools had to play in the spring last year. So this is going to be a lot of fun for both sides of it. And with it just being, a matter of 15 minutes between the two schools, 15 miles, it's going to be a packed house for the season opener for the Union County Panthers this Friday night.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned what you did about Union struggling with the run. Murphy has struggled to establish the run thus far this year. Last week was the best night that they've had on the ground so far this year. So it could be a very tight game if Murphy is unable to establish the run and Union County is able to step up and kind of make Murphy one-dimensional. But obviously, if you're a Bulldog fan, you're going to be looking for Ty Laney, Chandler Wood, Hunter Stalkup to be coming out of the backfield and making plays against as you said, Chris, kind of just a lackadaisical run defense from Union County thus far. Also, you're going to want to see, if you're a Murphy fan, you're going to want to see Peyton McCracken and Juwan Allen and Hunter Stalkup once again. Probably Murphy's 3 top wide receivers right there get open and get into space. As you mentioned, and as I saw watching the Union County film from last week, Union County did have some blown coverage. So if Murphy and Kellen Rumfeld are able to hit some big throws over the top, that'll really bust it open, and maybe that will help Murphy be able to pull away in this one. Also, another thing to watch out for offensively for the Bulldogs is just mentioned his name, Hunter Stalkup, coming out of the backfield. The best hands from a running back on a Murphy team that I've seen in a long time, maybe ever. He's got made some really big plays through the air, and it's just different coming out of the backfield. Having a wide receiver type guy come out of the backfield, a guy with as good as hands as he does, because that's not something that we necessarily see in our area. Mm-hmm. Running backs run the ball, wide receivers catch the ball, and there's not really any crossover. But like you said, if they're able to get him coming out maybe on a wheel route out of the backfield and end arounds from McCracken or Juwan, Juwan is definitely the one I would watch out for on an end around or something like that. Because that's kind of how Murphy has used him this year thus far, as kind of like a wingback type player. So if Juwan Allen is able to get the ball in the backfield and take a few handoffs, watch out for him because he's very shifty. What do you see going into this, Chris? I know everybody thinks it's going to be a tight game. What do you see? What's it going to come down to? Who's going to win this game?
I think it comes down to who established the rushing attack and who establishes it first. I really do. I think that Union County, that's been a struggle for Union. Their leading rusher, quarterback Logan Helcher, before last week against Pickens, he led the team in rushing yards with 82 rushing yards for the first 2 games, which is great for a quarterback. But for him to be the leading rusher, that's not great. And Caleb Rogers out of the backfield, he's got great hands too. He played against Pickens last week and came out after the first drive due to some injury. I don't know what that injury was, so I don't want to speculate. But He had, I believe it was 7 catches, over 110 yards, and a touchdown 2 weeks ago against Chestatee, receiving out of the backfield. But again, that's not really the rushing attack. So I do think that rushing attack is going to be key. And obviously Murphy has all the horses in the stable. It's a matter of, hey, is Union County going to step up and try to stuff that run that the Bulldogs are going to present for this defense? And we'll just have to see. I think that Chandler Wood, a guy that went off. I mean, talk about a guy that took advantage of his carries, his touches last week. Six carries out of the backfield. He scored on half of those. 3 rushing touchdowns, 185 yards on 6 carries. I mean, that's absurd. And, I mean, that's scary to me because you also look at a guy like Ty Laney who can do the same thing. Jawan Allen can also do it too. And then Hunter Stallcup, as you mentioned too, Jake, another great running back. So they've got all the horses. It's a matter of, is Union County going to be able to make the tackles? Is Union County going to be able to stop 1 or 2 of these guys or even all 4 of these guys? Time will tell.
What defensively is Murphy going to have to look out for?
Defensively, I think that Murphy's going to have to worry about quick out routes. I think the Panthers, with their offensive line situation, are trying to establish quick plays. That way, Helcher's even able to get off a quick pass and have a chance for it to be completed. Last week, they were unable to capitalize on a couple of go routes. They were unable to capitalize on a few out routes too. But typically, just quick passes, drag routes, slants, those type of plays, and then checkdowns. I think so. And then eventually, they work themselves up to taking a shot. You'll see like a 3rd down and 6. Hey, they're expecting the run. Let's take a shot. Keaton Chitwood is a great wide receiver. And I think that he has all the talent in the world. If we're able to have time in the backfield and if you're able to see Logan complete a pass, they can make something happen. But it truly comes down to that offensive line, and I think the game goes on how the Panther offensive line plays.
So Union County definitely a pass-heavy
without question
offense with what Michael Perry has brought in and kind of – I mean, he's morphed them into that for sure. So,
yeah, they talk about – sorry to interrupt you, Jake. They talk about when he came into this offense that he was an air raid top offense. And I thought, okay, we're going to see, maybe half the plays, passing plays, several passing plays. He really is an air raid offense. And with Helcher having time, not only does it buy time to make a play and make your reads, more importantly, but he can also take off and scramble. If the line's not playing well, he has no time to even get away and get out of the pocket. So we'll have to see what they draw up.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge game for Murphy, kind of a prove-it game for some of these kids on the defensive side of the ball especially. I know we saw last week Chandler Wood, a great night on offense, but also a great night defensively. I believe he had a sack and 8 or 9 tackles. His first night really getting to play the linebacker position, so we'll see if they put him out there at linebacker more often. And also the biggest thing for Murphy defensively is to keep Ty Laney in the middle linebacker position. He finally got back. That's where he belongs, and he finally got put back in that spot last week. So hopefully the coaching staff sees that and allows him to play where he wants to play and where he needs to play. Also defensively against a team like Union that's going to air it out as much as they are, Cole Laney and Will Carringer and these other defensive backs opposite Jawan Allen are going to have to do a very good job. I'm sure Jawan will be on Chitwood, as Chitwood is the number 1 guy for Union County, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I definitely would expect to see Jawan over there on Chitwood. But can Cole Laney or Will Carringer, whichever one of them gets the start, can they step up and lock down the other receiver opposite of Jawan Allen? Another big thing for Murphy, they get Hunter Laney back this week. Laney missed last week, and they had to have a backup in there, strong safety. I believe Cole Laney was playing strong safety last week in Hunter Laney's absence, and Will Carringer was playing cornerback. So we'll see kind of how that shakes out and kind of what they're doing personnel-wise. Caleb, from just a bystander standpoint, let's get into our picks. What do you think going into this one? What's going to happen? Who's going to win? Just from third-party perspective.
I think there's a couple of really important aspects of this game. Is one, getting Hunter Laney back, because you talk about Juan Allen guarding Chitwood, but Mathis said that Chitwood's about 6'4", so he's got 8 or 9 inches on Juan Allen. So the over-the-top help is going to be important from Hunter Laney, most likely. And then I think one of the really big things, obviously, is Thomas Nelson being the defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an advantage because while Watson knows what Nelson wants to run on defense, Nelson knows what Murphy wants to run on offense, but he also has coached and has personal relationships with every one of those players. So if anyone can tell you their tendencies, it's Thomas Nelson. But at the end of the day, I think Murphy's just got a little bit more talent, and their line play is what will prevail in this game and the more experienced quarterback. So my pick's Murphy.
Yeah, I think the line 6.5 as it scrolls across the bottom of the screen. I think that's pretty accurate just from the season thus far both these teams have had. Wouldn't you say Chris Murphy's probably a 6.5-point favorite heading into this one? Not to say that it can't go either way, and I think it can go either way. But I just think just from their track record, Murphy is probably a touchdown favorite heading into this one.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, with whatever way it goes, or with whatever way it goes, I should say, I think it's going to be a 2-score ball game. I really do. And talking a little bit more on the history of this, I know we're running out of time here with this segment. Talking more on the history, first true matchup between these two teams since 1989, 32 years ago. And then Murphy leads the series 11-6 out of those 17 matchups. So pretty cool stuff there. It's going to be a great ball game here in Blairsville. As I sit at the Union County Rec Department, shout out to Leland Sorrell for letting me use his office instead of being in the park with some parolees as they did some weed eating. So very excited. Make sure to tune in on 95.1 FM this Friday night. Also check out FYNsports.net for that broadcast too.
Yeah, FYNTV.com. We'll have it live. Chris, I know if you're on the road and you want to listen to it on the radio, Chris, you can listen to Chris on the radio. You can watch live on FYNTV.com. Chris, thanks for joining us. Caleb, thanks as always.
One quick thing. Hey, we forgot to mention, and we'll try to get you on there, Mathis. Western North Carolina post-game show on Friday night after all the games end. Me and Jake will be hosting a Western North Carolina post-game show, so hopefully I've got some good games to talk about. Hopefully we can get you on there for a few minutes, Mathis, as y'all pack up down in Union.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the time, guys. I appreciate it, and I hope it's a great competitive ball game this Friday night.
This is a Friday night press box presented by Team FYN Sports. Thank you guys for watching.